Welcome back. I'm Aleea.
And I'm Hav.
Today, we are talking all about body changes that no one warns you about when it comes to pregnancy. So, we're thinking like the constipation, the weird dreams, the sleep problems, things like that. And so, I'm sure, Hav, you're going through it right now. I definitely had a lot of weird ones or weird things or things that I experienced. So, let's get into it. Do you want to start just because you're going through it? If there's anything specific on top of mind?
I mean, my go-to that's like the crazy, and this is the most like TMI that no, like people are like, "Ugh, I don't want to hear about that." But it's the biggest change. And I feel like when I do have friends who become newly pregnant, they're like, "Why didn't you talk about this?" And I'm like, "Well, because it's like a very private thing, but like also, yuck, the discharge. The discharge is like and it's my biggest, like, I hate it. I mean, don't get me wrong, the pain and, like, everything else we go through, but it's so uncomfortable. You already feel gross. You either, like I mean, decision between, like, showering, like, 5 times a day. I change my underwear, like I could probably change my underwear, like, 10 times a day or, like, wear liners and
Yeah, like,
stuff.
yeah.
But it's just yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, you literally put on some dry underwear, and then all of a sudden, it's covered in discharge, and it's completely normal. It's
Huh?
like a
It is.
healthy thing.
Yes, increased discharge is super healthy.
Yeah. It's very healthy as long as, talk to your doctor if you're concerned. But, like,
Right.
you don't want, like, blood or, like, any weird color. But I think for me, that's the biggest one that I don't think I've ever heard, like, any influencer or, like, study be like, "Hey, get ready for the." So I remember with my first pregnancy, I went and they were like, "Anything wrong?" And I was like, "So, is this normal?" 'Cause I was already, like nobody talked to me a lot about female anatomy when I was growing up. I never really had those conversations with my mom. So it was already weird for me dealing with that just as like a woman. And then when I was pregnant, going into my doctor and being like, "So," and he was like, "Yeah, completely normal." And I was like, "Well, that would have been like a nice warning." So I feel like that's one thing, yeah. And like I said, my friends they're like, "You didn't talk about that enough." I'm like, "I'm sorry." It's like I really
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because to, like, tag on to that, like, with that, I also had to obviously pee all the time, especially towards the
uh,
end. So then you just feel like a
there's
disaster and a half because you're like, "Am I peeing? Am I doing this?" Like, there's just so much that's happening, and I'm glad you brought it up just because, yeah, you feel like there's something wrong with you or that we live in a small town and we have to drive, like, 40 minutes to get, like, main groceries, and if I would go there, I would have to go pee to, like, every store when we got there because I was so stressed that I was, like, peeing myself.
or if you're like yeah, if you're going out for the day,
Yeah.
I will literally pack different underwear or, like I said, wear liners and stuff because your underwear is just, like, wet and it's uncomfortable. It's fun.
Another thing on liners that is a good tip just to, like, add on to it is the period underwears.
Mhm.
I really like those. I don't know, I'm sure it might be a little harder later in pregnancies depending on your size, like, you might not fit into them, but
Yeah.
for certain things, it's just nice because they're washable, they're reusable, I find that they're comfier because you're just wearing underwear with
Yep.
the added benefit of extra coverage. So,
Epic. I think you're the one
yeah.
who showed me them, but I love them. For me, for the discharge, it's still, like you still, like
No, you still have to
once you
change
get
everything, but it's
but
like
yeah,
you're
but once you get
saving
to a
from
certain
leakage.
yeah, it's definitely nice. But yeah, I definitely liners, changing those. Especially if you're going out and you just wanna, like, enjoy your night and not feel like you're, like, wetting yourself like Aaliyah
Right.
said.
Right. And, like, on I guess it's not exactly on it, but something else that I find that I guess we do talk about it, but I think that isn't talked about enough is how hard it can be to change your body, like, just having your body change in general. I for me, I really had a hard time, like, I already had struggled because I had already put on some weight from high school and college and things like that. But then once I got pregnant, it's like in your mind, you're like, oh, it's fine. I'm adding weight because of the baby and stuff. But once what you really start, it's like it can be hard to differentiate because from baby weight and then
Yeah.
just weight gain,
Yeah.
and it can be hard mentally because you're like, I know it's for the baby, but it's still hard to process. And then I know we can get into this in another episode after baby, but it can be even harder postpartum when you aren't snapping back in quotes
Yeah.
right away, things like that. So yeah, I think definitely like a change of just especially if you're younger. You
Yeah.
might have your young hot young
No, that's
body, and it can be really hard to adjust that way as well.
well, it's fair, and people will tell you, "Oh, it's like a you're gonna snap back," but you just don't I know that was really hard for me because I mean, I was pretty big my whole life, and then it was right before I got pregnant, I had finally gotten the body that I wanted, I was like the weight that I wanted, and I felt like I could wear whatever I wanted, and then I got pregnant, and then I was the at the end of it, I was the biggest I had ever been, and I remember being honestly just, like, a little depressed about it, being like, "I finally got what I wanted, my body was finally doing what I wanted it to do without having to, like, diet and do all these things," like I mean, that's just my family genetics. All my sisters had the same thing. They're like, "Wait till your mid-20s," right? I literally got to my mid-20s, I was like, "And I'm pregnant." And I remember just being like, "This sucks, like, I had it, I'm not gonna get it again," and I didn't snap back, but I did get back to that. But that was the other thing kind of on, like, the other side of it is with nursing, not everybody loses weight nursing. I did.
And well, and that I was gonna say that is kind of what I expected,
Mhm.
after I was like, "I'll breastfeed and I'll lose all the weight." No,
My
it's barely budged, but
Yeah,
it's been from work, not from breastfeed, like effort. Like I've had to
yeah.
do effort to do it.
Well, and that was the thing, I remember one of my friends, you don't know her, but she got pregnant, and she was always very, very tiny, very good looking, like and I remember her messaging me and being like, "What did you do? Like, how did you get back to where you were?" Whatever, and I was like, "I really hate to say this, and I don't wanna make you feel bad about yourself, but I didn't do anything." Granted, I was very active with Azzy, and I carried her everywhere, like, it was like having a 35-pound weight on me. By the time I was losing weight, she was, like, up in the 20s, 30s, and, like, summer and doing all that stuff, so it was nursing, and it honestly was working out, but it wasn't like I was like, I'm only eating this, or I'm, like, only doing this, and, like so I just remember being like, "I don't wanna make you feel bad about your body not doing what you want it to do," but my body, thankfully for me at that time, did do what I wanted it to do. Don't get me started on the stress, Aaliyah, you know. Some of it was, like, unhealthy, I was just super stressed and couldn't eat for part of it. But, yeah, I think that is one that definitely and then I know I felt guilty because I felt guilty about I was, like, super obsessed with sugar with Azzy. So I was like, I'm gonna eat what I wanna eat when I wanna eat it, but then I felt guilty about not taking care of my body the way that I thought that I should be, and then people were like, You're only supposed to eat this, you're only supposed to eat that," and then feeling guilty that I, like, didn't like my body that was growing my child, and it's, like, a lot of things that we talk about, but I feel like there's so much guilt that comes into a woman's life when she's pregnant about not doing the right thing for her or not doing the right thing for the baby, which I feel like I have a healthier outlook with this one, but I'm still very much so like, "Oh, I hope that I lose it again," you know? Like, it's not like I'm like, "Oh, everything's fine, it's gonna be fine." I'm like, really, I really hope my body gets back to where it was because I was really happy with where it was this time last year. We'll see.
It's just so easy because, like, I try to be very body positive. I try to be confident and stuff, but I'm like, I think all of us, even the ones,
Yeah.
it still lingers. It's still
Mhm.
natural to have those lingering thoughts. Like, I still think about it even while embracing, all the changes and stuff. So, yeah, I get it. And it will be interesting to see how you feel this time
Yeah.
next year, just because who knows?
Well, it's interesting too, I mean, I'm already like I'm so much smaller than I was with Azzy at this point, but I'm, like, noticing my thighs are getting thicker and, like, I'm like, "Ooh." And people will comment and be like, "You look so good." And I'm like, "Well, I'm a little bit more conscious about what I'm eating." But then that's also like, why are we commenting on people's bodies? It's not, "Oh, you don't look bloated this time." I'm bloated, trust me. It's just a little different. But then I mean, but yeah, then there's the bloating. How much of this
Oh,
is
yeah.
water weight? How much
Mhm.
of it is your body just retaining all the fluids and all the things that your body retains when you're pregnant?
I especially really struggled with that late pregnancy. I didn't end up, because I know it can be a sign, like, there could be, like, concerns. I just,
Yeah.
like, at the end was really starting to retain water in, like, my ankles and in my calves, and, like, I would have
Mhm.
to have Ty help me because there's, like, you can massage it out basically, and just to make it feel a little better. But it's hard because at the end, you wanna do all this stuff, you wanna be on your feet, but it's like the longer you're on the feet, the more you swell. At least for me, the more I would swell. So, yeah, it was really hard, and I felt like I ignored the fact that that was a reality because I didn't really experience it until the end, so I was like, It's fine,
Mhm.
you know? And then I started getting a little bit and I'm like, "Oh, I'll just sit for a day, it'll be fine." And it would, but then all of a sudden I was like, "Oh, now it's getting regular." And,
Well,
like,
and, like,
now I'm struggling.
God forbid that you let yourself be a little delusional during pregnancy, right? And then you have people come, "Oh, you got kinkles yet?" Like, if you don't leave me alone, leave me and my kinkles alone. I'm already noticing these things.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, I mean, like I said, I'm smaller than I was with Azzy, but I'm still my ankles aren't there, okay? It's a straight line starting to get and the on that note, the Charlie horses and stuff that you get from,
Yeah.
your blood circulation and stuff, not fun. I'm at that stage. It's great.
And it's also sucks because 'cause you're like, "I already can't move." So it's like you can't a lot of times you're like, "I can't even reach where it hurts." Stretch it out, you know?
The suggestion, massage it out, stretch it out. Well, the stretching is hurting, thank you. Massaging it, I can't reach past a certain point or, like, work out, I'm like, if I could work out, you don't think I'm working out?
Another thing actually, just to backtrack on the bloating, is the other thing with the ankles that I was my feet got really big and I started not being able, you know how some people grow a shoe size? I was so concerned I wasn't gonna fit back into my shoes, not because only because I love my shoes so much. Like, I have handpicked my Crocs over the years. Like, I have shoes that I didn't want, and I was already starting to not fit in my Crocs, and I'm like, uh, my feet are so big I can't fit into Crocs, you know, that's a concern. So, luckily for me, it did go back. But that is something to note that that is a body change that also again might not revert right away and it is okay. But I couldn't believe how big my feet got.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up actually, because my mom, I mean, she did have 8 children, so I don't know if that played into it, but my mom's feet grew a whole size. They usually say, like, maybe, like, half a size or whatever. Her feet, and we already have big feet, right? I'm like a 9.5, 10. She grew to a size 11.
Oh, yeah.
But when I moved here with my in-laws and stuff, right, I remember being like, because they wanted to, people wanted to gift me stuff, and they're like, "What kind of shoes do you like?" And I was like, "Don't buy me shoes. If you buy me shoes right now and I get to wear them one time, I'm already worried about my shoe collection is nothing like Aaliyah's shoe collection." But I was still like, if I can't fit in what I have
Right.
right
Like, because we
now.
would have to start all over. People just
Yeah,
don't
but
like that's
when I said that, they were like, "That's not a thing." And I was like, "What do you mean it's not a thing?" They're like, "Your feet don't grow when you're pregnant." And I was like, "Oh, they surely can."
yes, they can.
And apparently some people don't know that. And I remember I was telling all my friends, I was like, "Be careful. Be
Yeah, I
careful."
mean, I need to ask Hannah, you know, who was on the show, but hers grew, I believe, a size and a half or a size. Like, she
And
has
she
a
only had
different
2
size
kids.
than yeah, with 2 kids, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I know, I'm like, if I get pregnant again, I might lose my I might
Yeah.
lose my
I
shoes.
know. Hopefully not. I haven't noticed any change. They're, like, not comfortable to get in shoes because of the bloating, but my length hasn't changed. But I mean, like, Bree, if you're listening to this, sorry. I think about her and I'm like, she's not gonna be able to fit into shoes just ever. Like, it's
Yeah,
already hard
it's
being.
it's definitely, and for me, it was more water weight in my
Yeah,
feet. So I'm sure, like, you maybe you could tell, but yeah,
yeah.
definitely think about it
Well,
because
and actually, now that I think about my sister, Rebecca, she had 1 kid, and she had if we're talking about your shoe collection, she had her pantry was a closet full of Jordans and, like, retros and all this stuff, and she grew a whole size and had to get rid of them. She was upset.
yeah, that I bet, I get that. I mean, I luckily am like, my husband, if he lost a shoe size, he would be very upset with his
What
shoe.
that was like it was like by losing
I'm like, so I
all
get
his shoes.
Rebecca. For me, I'm like, I have a couple, but it was more I love my it's also just hard because 'cause you're already spending a bunch of money on a baby, and you're like, "Now I gotta go spend a bunch of money on shoes and potentially, like, clothes
I
because
was
we
gonna
don't
say we think
really."
about clothes, but we don't wanna think about shoes, like, that's sorry, guys. Sorry to put that on your brain if you're pregnant and haven't thought about that.
And since we're talking about just all the body parts, I think another thing that which I do think is becoming more talked about, but the pregnancy nose.
Yeah.
I learned about it because of TikTok when it was trending. And
Mhm.
it's funny because at least for me, I didn't notice I got a little bit of pregnancy nose until I looked at photos after I was pregnant. During
Mhm.
pregnancy, I was like, "Oh, I mean, yeah, I look bigger." But now I'm like, especially if I compare, I'm like, "Oh yeah, like right in here."
Yeah,
Mine swelled up, like, it was kinda like, "Beep, beep."
right. That makes sense. I think I mean, My nose is, like, the structure of it, it's so thin, like, my
I was gonna
ear.
say, as I'm looking at you, I don't feel like you've gotten it, but at the
No.
same time, I'm like, maybe I'll look at photos and be like, "You know what? Hoff did get it."
Well, with Azzy, I definitely, like, got a bloated face, but so, I mean, the structure of my that's what I'm saying, the structure of my nose, my ear, nose, throat doctor, I've had to go to an ENT, is, like, it's so thin, if anything that we would do to, like, help you breathe is widen it because my
Oh.
canals are so tiny. But my point in that being that's another thing, my mucus and,
Mm.
like, congestion, I have year-round allergies, so me saying that it's bad is honestly saying a lot because it's, like, so, and that's something that, again, I didn't really know was, like, a pregnancy symptom, but congestion and mucus buildup is, like, a big pregnancy symptom, which, not just that, but that can be correlated with headaches, which I had a lot in my 1st trimester and, like, towards my 2nd trimester.
Do you so, obviously so you don't think it, like, bloats at all? Because I was like, do you think it opens it up at all? You know how they're like, "We would widen it." Do you think it would actually maybe help if you had, like,
I don't I'm pl
you
maybe, but
know? Like, in your case,
the
like, for the rest of us, it's like, "Oh, that sucks," but for you, are you like, "Yeah, I can
I don't know,
breathe."
cause with the congestion and everything, I
Oh,
feel
that's
like it
right.
just, like, might negate. I'm checking my phone right now to see a picture of me when I was, like, big preggers with Azzy.
One thing too that I think just while you're looking that up, that I'm gonna add is I think that sucks too is when you add the congestion and all of that, then all of a sudden it's like, now you're having sleep problems on top of the sleep problems you're like, to me, it's like a
Yeah,
domino effect. It's like you hit a point in pregnancy and your body starts really changing, and then everything falls after. You start getting the night sweats, you start, bloating, you start having trouble sleeping.
you gotta pee every hour, your pelvis hurts, your hip hurts, you're getting charley horses in the middle of the night. Oh, and on top of it, you can't breathe. Oh, and dry throat, dryness of the throat, like, why? Why? Every horrible, like, not horrible, God forbid, but every, like, negative symptom you can get from being sick is like, "Oh, you're pregnant, have fun." I don't know, I'm trying to, like, I got more bloated with Azzy, my face is a lot thinner right now, and I don't know, I mean, like, it looks whiter, but, like, it's not, like, it's still pretty thin.
Yeah, you look good there. Your
Thanks, those
eyebrows
are
look good.
my maternity shoot, I did my makeup for, like, the one time my whole pregnancy, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it is interesting. I think it's also hard because, like you said,
It is
it's
a little wider, I don't know.
I know it's so hard, but it's hard because I
Mm.
don't I feel like your face in general looks thinner now.
It is, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I'm like, but that's why it's hard to compare. So I think this is a reminder, give yourself grace because I mean, this is Hav, a 4-year difference, really, so I'm like, even if you do look different, I'm like, that's still 4 years of a lot of life that there's so like, it's not just pregnancy changes, you know what I mean? Like, there's also, like, Hav changes.
Yeah, but that's the interesting thing for this pregnancy, I started out the same weight. Actually, I started out 10 pounds heavier for this pregnancy
Really?
than I did with Azzy. Mhm.
Interesting.
But, like, I don't crave sugar as much. I was way more active with Azzy, but like, ate, like, 2 bags of gummies a day.
I the one thing is I definitely with Dash definitely ate bad, but I just was hungry. I didn't care what it was, and that was something I could not curb.
Well, and that's a body change thing too. So for you, you got more hungry. Even now, I mean, I eat more with him than I did with her, but, like, I wanted to have that pregnancy where I could just eat with Azzy. I could eat We went to a buffet, like, the end of my 2nd trimester, early 3rd trimester, and I remember being so mad because I had 1 plate. I had 1 little plate, and I was like, I cannot physically eat more,
Yeah.
like, in it, and, like, "Oh, boohoo, poor me," right? Like, my body's like, "Whoa, slow down." But, like, I've never had, like, the midnight pregnancy cravings. With him a little bit, like, I'll, like, wake up in the middle of the night, I'm like, "Ooh, I'm gonna feel sick tomorrow if I don't eat something right now," but I'll, like, snack on some, like, nuts or something. I make myself sound real health conscious. But, like, yeah, that is, like, and it's different. Not every pregnant woman gets, like,
Right.
super, like, I don't get the big pregnancy cravings other than the sugar with Azzy, but everybody's like, "Oh, what's the one thing that you just, like, will mow down on?" I'm like, "Nothing. Not even water." But like
Yeah,
you
that
said
is interesting. I definitely had some cravings. I know we talked about like I really liked Costco pizza and like some sweet stuff, but I didn't get the weird pregnancy
mm,
cravings. You know, like people get like the pickle with the peanut butter and like the marshmallow or whatever. Like none of that.
mhm.
Like I wasn't like, oh. And that was what was interesting to me because I was really anticipating being like, oh, what's the weird things I want to eat? But
Well, especially you and
no.
I, like, I feel like we generally kind of just eat weird things in general.
I was gonna say, if you guys knew us in college, we did some weird things at weird times of the night with food. So it's just and like
No, seriously.
eating wise. So yeah, I was kind of excited. Like even the corn dog and the queso, I was expecting even that to come out and like
No.
nothing like that. Especially because I mean, for me, pregnancy was like munchy cravings. Like I
Mhm.
just like felt like all the time. Like I was just like a bot. And that was weird to me because obviously, I wasn't, and I was just pregnant, so that was weird.
Well, for me and I remember being like, "Oh, were you, like, obsessed with pickles?" Or I love pickles. So, like, pregnant, non-pregnant, it doesn't make a difference to me. With dry, I got really obsessed with olives, but I think my body just needed salt. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
yeah,
bought,
yeah.
like and then I bought a huge pack, and then my first trimester ended, and the huge pack of olives is still just sitting there.
It's so funny you say that because the beginning of my first trimester, I craved pickles as well, and I'm kinda like you, I just like pickles all the time, and then I, like, bought like, I stocked up, and then that was when my cravings to sweet changed, and I was like, "Oh, well, don't want pickles anymore." And then we just had these jars in the fridge for the rest of the pregnancy 'cause
Like, the
Tyler
weirdest
was
thing I did was I did, like, down a whole jar of olive juice.
Oh, you were
Like, but
salt
I, like, felt
deprived.
so sick. I felt so sick, and it was the only thing that made me feel better. While I was cooking, I would just, like, sit there and drink like a pickleback,
Yeah, yeah,
but it was
yeah.
olive juice. Pickles this pregnancy, don't want pickles. That's the weird
You
thing.
were having a, non-alcoholic martini, just the olive juice.
Yep. Extra, extra, extra dirty.
Did you have any other things that you wanted to add?
I mean, I think people talk a lot about, like, the sleep dreams. Those are weird for me.
Yeah,
I get some real vivid, real vivid, weird dreams.
that's a good one. I got weird dreams too, and mine were usually, like, dark. Like, they usually had some sort of, like, scary or dark outcome, which I thought was weird.
Yeah. Mine are like well, and that's funny because I was just talking about this with Tony the other day. I was like, I feel like my dreams are like, "Hey, this is how like, what life would be like if you had, like, a shitty life." Like, I have, like, dreams where, like, I'm, like, like, kicking Tony out of the house because our relationship is, like,
Mm-mm.
so bad, like, really bad. And I wake up and I'm just like, "Where's like, I just need you to hug me because, like, that was not you." And he's like, "What?" Like, I'm like, "You would never treat me the way that you treat me." Like,
Mhm.
in my wildest dreams, I would never imagine him treating me that way, but apparently in my wildest dreams and I would never behave the way that I do in my dreams. So I'm like, "What, like, subconscious?" But then it's also like, I'm like, "I've never had this thought until I shut my eyes and go to sleep." Or like
Right.
yeah, I just, like I have, like, the weirdest and it's, like, toxic dreams. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah,
"Weird."
because I remember having a lot of mine were, like, deaths, like, people would
Mm,
die or something, and I'd be like, "This is really" like, I'd wake up and I'm like, "I'm more stressed sleeping than" and the hard part is, at least for me, I already struggled sleeping, so when I wanted to sleep, I'm like, "I wanna have good" at least I would rather just not dream at all and just let me sleep, you know?
right. Well, yeah, you're talking to me who has a sleep study coming up. I'm like, "How am I gonna have a sleep study to figure out if I have a sleeping disorder, if I can't sleep? I'm up every hour." I'm sure they have ways. I don't know. But yeah, next week I have a sleep study, so that's fun. But I mean, other than that, I mean, people talk about like the hormones and stuff, acne, that was really bad for me.
Mhm, me
Chest
too.
acne, back acne, really, really bad. That was another thing, like the weight thing for me. My acne had just stopped, so I was like, "Yay, it's back." This one, not acne, but black I mean, I guess it technically is, but blackheads.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
all. And they don't turn into anything, they're just blackheads, and
Mhm.
I don't know, though. Like, I mean, I feel like the other stuff is talked about, like the acid reflux, the bloating, I mean, constipation, that one,
Oh,
maybe
yeah, I
not
had
so
bad
much.
constipation, and I do think that is more common, but yeah, I had it bad, and just to throw it out there for some tips, definitely fiber, a lot of fiber,
Mm,
fiber foods, even fiber pills, those are great,
mm.
honestly, just because sometimes you need I needed so much fiber. I was like, I was doubling up on fiber, even like drinks. Like there's some poppies and ollies
Mm.
that have like 32% of your daily, like I would drink those and eat fiber and take fiber pills. And I still feel like I was
Yeah, I
struggling.
feel
Like,
like first trimester, I don't think there was anything I could do. I was just constipated. I will say for, like, bloating and digestive health, if you can, my biggest suggestion, and this is gonna a lot of pregnant women are gonna be like, "Why would you suggest that we do that?" Because I can't eat anything anyway, but kimchi has been a lifesaver for my bloating and for my I can't
I
do it
thought you
now
were
'cause
gonna
of that.
say like prune juice or something. And I know that probably wouldn't weird other people out, but in my
Yes.
mind, I was like, I don't.
Absolutely, prune juice is a great one, but no, kimchi for, like, the discomfort, not for necessarily for constipation. Oh, here's a really fun one with constipation, and I think this is so funny, but it really weirds people out. 3rd trimester when baby's really big, baby kicking and making you pee or shit. Like, not
Mm.
it's, not making you necessarily do it, like, in your pants, hopefully not, I don't know. But I remember 3rd trimester with Azzy, I was going to the bathroom, and she literally kicked down, and I was like, "Thank you." Helps me go. Like, I was trying to poop and you just squeezed it out. Appreciate it.
Oh, man, I wish Dash helped me out more.
Yeah.
That is interesting, but it makes sense because, I mean, they get so big and they're taking up so much room.
Like, I mean, you can't convince me that that's not what happened because I literally was on the toilet and she was kicking down and all of a sudden it just came out. But on that note, one that's really honestly horrible if the baby I think this baby is low. I don't know. My doctor hasn't really said anything, like, not, like, abnormally low, but the kicks that hurt your vagina or your butt. Like, he literally one day I was in the car and he kicked down, and I thought somebody was stabbing my butthole.
I had a lot of like that upper pelvic, lower that area for sure. Because yeah, especially when they start to get lower and they start to like shift and stuff. Yeah. I remember feeling a lot of discomfort down there.
Yeah,
And then that also added to me feeling like I had to pee all the time. And I
right,
remember being like, great.
right. Yeah, that's a big one. That's what I'm going through right now is, like, the pelvic pain, yeah. So one of my friends who's never been pregnant, like, "How does it feel?" And I was like, "I don't think I could describe this to you unless you've had some kind of core injury." Like, it feels like your walls are just, like, in pain 24/7, and, like I mean, I guess maybe if you've dealt with incontinence, I would imagine this might be what you feel like. I thankfully am not dealing with incontinence, but, like, it feels like I can't close my wall.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, I mean, this is just like a body change. I also felt that once you get deep, where it's weird where your abs disconnect in a sense. And I remember being like, I can't like feel them anymore. Like, they'll be like flex. And it's like, I think they're doing that just because it was just like, I felt, yeah, it's just weird. There's a disconnect. Like, there's just, at least for me, some parts of my body started disconnecting and it was weird to feel, yeah.
It's true, and I'm dealing with that right now. I mean, I'm very conscious of my core in general because I had a back injury in high school, and I was just walking around the yard being like, "I can usually feel when I'm activating my core, and I cannot feel right now if it's activating or not." But yeah, just in general, like, yeah, all that stuff is separating. It is. I mean, you can talk about the diastasis recti that some women get, and then you actually stay separated and stuff.
Yeah. And just to throw in there, I will link we have a previous client that they help women with that for free. They have like a free challenge. I've been doing it to help reconnect your abs after birth. You can do it during pregnancy, the breathing, and you can also do it. It's one of the only like in quotes workouts you can do right after you give birth because it's just breathing. So I will link it just in case that's something you want to utilize just because I know it's something I'm still struggling with and I'm still trying to reconnect my core. Because, like Hav said, it's really interesting when I used to be able to feel it activating or like, and now it's like, I think it's there. And it's starting to get better, but it's just a really interesting, yeah, it'll help.
Yeah.
And when you fix those issues, it will help repair, like if you pee yourself a little bit, things
Mhm.
like that. So that's definitely something if that's you, I would check out their program for sure, especially
Yeah.
their free thing.
I think that's great. And, like, I mean, yeah, I noticed, like can't close the lower I live in an old house, so they're a little sticky, but I can't close drawers that are, like, below my belly. I literally have to call Tony and be like, "Can you come close this drawer for me because I'm in pain? Thank you."
It's true though. So, I mean, I think we covered a good portion of body changes. Of course, I'm
Yeah.
sure there's more.
I'll give a positive one real quick. Strong
Go
nails,
ahead.
strong hair. Positive.
Oh, yes. Yeah, 100%. I loved how fast my hair and nails grew. My nails were growing so fast.
Beautiful.
I think we sprinkled some tips throughout. This is kind of a hard one because I wouldn't say there's a ton of tips just because it's kind of a time where you have to give yourself grace and just understand that there's a ton of shifts happening both hormonally and physically. Before I wrap up, did you have any like tips in case there were any you wanted to add?
Yeah, I mean, just with everything, like, there's little things that you can do. There are workouts that you can do. Like, I know with me, I'm really uncomfortable with my pelvis pain and stuff. So I've started doing stretches and workouts and stuff that work for my body, but you want to be really careful and not overdo it. There's taping that you can do for stuff like that, or like, the bloating stuff. There's some stuff that you can do, but I think the biggest is just giving yourself grace and knowing that like your hormones will eventually get back to normal and your body will eventually make it, if not bounce back, right? It'll make it so that you can start making the changes that you want to make after you're healed and healthy.
Yeah. I think that's a great point, and I'm glad you brought up the pelvic floor stuff because I think that is something if you are someone that is going through serious pain or even something else, look into specialists for whatever you're dealing with. If it's a pelvic floor, look for maybe a pelvic floor specialist in your area if it's possible. If you're dealing with mental health stuff, look into a therapist. Like there's a lot of things you could potentially do. So, and obviously, finance and stuff can play a role, but definitely just look into some options, even if, it's online or
Mhm.
just a couple free resources that can help. So don't limit to, yeah, just think about if you are dealing with something, if there are a couple things you could do.
If you have access to a pool, if you don't have an access to that, but you have an access to a pool, like I can do squats and pelvic floor exercises that I can't do
Mhm.
normally, but in the pool and it feels really good. But that I know that's also we have to pay for pools here. There's no like
Right.
public pool here, so
When I was even thinking if you maybe have a bathtub and just sitting in it brings some relief, I'm like, I'm sure there's some ways
yeah,
you could potentially relieve some pain or whatever you're going through.
warm baths will alleviate pain and stuff. It's more like I'm like thinking, well, I'm very like, conscious about the pelvic floor. This is the
Right,
stretching
right,
and
right.
you can do in
And
the
that's
pool.
important. I was just thinking depending on what you're going through, if you have to find a more affordable option, don't
Yes.
don't d ignore it just because you can't go to the
Right.
pool. Yeah. I agree with you though. Like that's why I brought up the pelvic floor specialist because I do think it's important and our pelvic floor supports so much of our body that we don't even realize. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. Okay, so with that, we get it. If your pregnancy doesn't feel glamorous, sometimes it's messy, it can be uncomfortable and strange, especially when your body's going through all of this stuff. So, just like I said, try to give yourself grace and just remember that you're not alone. There are a lot of us out there that are going through or have gone through similar experiences. So, with that, did you have any final thoughts?
Give yourself grace.
Perfect. And next week, we are going to be heading into the season finale and chatting all about advocating yourself with doctors, just because we know this can be a hard thing to do, but we think it's so important because you're important. So, with that, we look forward to chatting with you then. And we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.